Welcome to the show. As always, let's begin with the very latest on COVID-19 as we come on the year. Going into Friday, we're now up to 32,552 cases. Jim Wells County, 3321. B, 3017. San Patricio County, 3248. Claiborne County, 1931. Duval, 1039. Live Oak, 1015. Aransas County, 867. Brooks County, 676. Refugio, 529. Jim Hoggs County, which is right there, has 438. McClellan County has 69. And Kennedy, down below, has 30. And the biggest one ever is right here, 32,552. That is 30,000. That is over 30,000 cases so far during this pandemic. And I've been always telling you guys to wash your hands every now and then, socially distance every now and then, and make sure to stay 6 and make sure to wear your mask often. As I told you before, you need to wear your mask at the nose. You cannot be wearing it here or here. It has to be at the nose, like what I'm doing right here. And with large crowds like what that thing had, like what the riot happened in Washington, there was no social distancing. There was plenty of masks. Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. But social distancing, no one understands it. And to understand that, you need to hear from the experts. Here's my good friend, Ashley Gonzalez.
The experts are weighing in on how large... Globally, experts are weighing in on how large gatherings can be the perfect recipe for a super spreader event. Our Ashley Gonzalez has that story.
The political climate across the United States has heated following the deadly riots on Capitol Hill earlier this month. Several states are increasing security at their state capitals, including here in Texas, where this was a sight in Austin on Saturday, as a small group of armed protesters gathered outside of the state capitol building. Here locally, Mayor Paulette Guajardo says increasing security is not necessary.
We anticipate a peaceful transition of government on the federal level.
Dr. Chris Bird with the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Task Force says, for the Coastal Bend residents that do participate in rallies or large gatherings, it's important to keep in mind, right now, we're seeing a surge in coronavirus cases, and not to mention a new and more contagious COVID-19 variant strain.
Spreading the new variants more readily is probably one of the bigger concerns from that sort of activity.
Dr. Bird says Coastal Bend residents that leave town to attend large gatherings should follow the COVID-19 safety protocols.
The responsible thing to do would be to quarantine yourself for at least 10 days like the government recommends.
He does offer some advice for anyone planning to attend a gathering.
It's better to be outside than inside. I would make real sure that there's a good seal of your mask around your face, given that there are these more contagious variants out there. Getting drive-through and things like that would help versus going and eating inside restaurants or bars, things like that.
He added, the COVID-19 count is rising every single day, and not only here, but all over the nation. So taking unnecessary risks could impact an entire community. Dr. Bird wants to remind the public, continue wearing a mask, social distance, and wash your hands often. Ashley Gonzalez, 3 News.
Thanks, Ashley. Now, if you're going to go eat out, like at a fancy restaurant or whatever, you have to wear a mask. But avoid that. Dr. Bird says avoid that. But as Ashley Gonzalez said, you have to avoid that. If you're going to have a good date, I would recommend you go, I don't want to spoil everyone's first Valentine's date because of this pandemic, but if you're going to have to, if you're going to decide to do a fancy date or plan a special Valentine's Day, what you need to, you gotta take this in mind here, however. Take this in mind. This pandemic is up above what is going on here. And if you don't take the necessary kind of steps, the numbers are going to rise, and you won't get a chance to get that new vaccine. Those 3 new vaccines, the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson, and the Moderna vaccine, or whatever the name is. just probably take this very seriously. As I'm coming on the air, I mean, I'm telling you guys, you need to take this virus very, very seriously. And if large crowds, avoid large crowds. In the holiday tips, I told you, like, avoid traveling, avoid large crowds. Large crowds is a big key. Is the easy spreader. I mean, just like the Washington riots, I mean, everyone was wearing a mask, but nobody was social distancing. And that was the big issue. A real big issue, and if nothing's being done about this, they may shut down Texas again. But the mayor said it is a great problem here. A huge problem that we have to take the necessary steps and precautions very seriously. Later in this broadcast, lemonade stands. Why do people have to shut them down? Does everything have to be? Isn't it illegal to shut down lemonade stands without a permit? Well, sometimes it is with certain foods. Lemonade, it's not illegal to shut down a lemonade stand because you don't have a permit. That's later. But first, when we come back, more on the riots, and especially what's going to be happening next week because of Joe Biden's inauguration that's happening on Wednesday. What could that mean in store for the impeached president? You'll find out when we return. Now, I have learned during that riot, that there was a twist. It wasn't just going to be a riot. It was going to be a capture and assassinate thing. What did that mean? There's a whole team. What did that mean? To capture someone and assassinate people. There's a whole team out there, and here's the latest from CBS News.
Right here in Washington amid the security. Good evening, Jeff.
All right, and you know this. Normally on a Friday night, this part of D.C., it would be packed with people in cars. Right now, all we see are these tall fences here, these barricades right here, and National Guard members all over the city. In the coming days, they're going to be about 25,000 strong. Lessons learned after last week's attack, during which the vice president had to run for cover. New details tonight show just how close the violent mob got to the vice president and his family. The insurrection was quickly spreading. Rioters were climbing the walls outside. Police were being overrun. While inside, House and Senate members evacuated.
Protesters are in the building. Thank you.
The vice president stayed in the Senate chamber for nearly 14 minutes after the initial breach, giving the angry intruders time to get closer to his location. Some chanting Pence was a traitor and that he should hang. The Secret Service finally rushed Pence and his family out to a nearby office. Hey, where they killed the Within a minute, the violent mob was charging up the stairs after a Capitol police officer who was drawing them away from Pence's location. The rioters were less than 100 feet away from where Vice President Pence and his family were hiding. Later, the Secret Service evacuated the Pences to safety. It was clear the attackers were out for blood. At least that's what prosecutors suggested today in filings for Jacob Chansley, who was photographed inside the Capitol building that day with a bullhorn calling for the assassination of congressmen. Known as the QAnon shaman, investigators say he espoused identifying and hanging leaders he viewed as traitors within the United States government, and that Chansley, who intended to return for the inauguration, left a note for Pence on the Senate dais. It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming. In the days since the attack, justice has come for the rioters. The FBI has about 300 cases against people in the mob, a number that is expected to grow exponentially. Peter Stager, who was seen in this video beating an officer with a flagpole, has been taken into custody. Also charged, Jennifer Lee Ryan, who traveled to Washington from Texas in a private jet. In a Facebook Live post recovered by investigators, she was captured on camera saying, "We are going to effing go in there. Life or death, it doesn't matter. Here we go." Prosecutors are also looking into whether there was coordination among people or groups in the mob. Tonight, Capitol Police opened an investigation into whether some members of Congress helped the protesters plan their assault. To prevent a repeat of the Capitol attack, Washington, D.C. has turned into a fortress in what looks like wartime footing. D.C.'s mayor says heightened security may be the norm after the inauguration.
So we all have to think about a new posture. We certainly have to think about a new posture in the city.
And tonight there is still a lot of work to be done. You can see behind me they're still placing some of these big barricades, and you can expect to see security similar to this in all 50 states amid these threats for potential violence. Nora.
Never seen our nation's capital like this. Jeff Pegues, thank you.
Never have I ever. So as Jeff said, there was a plan to capture that vice president. He hid in his room, but what had happened was they evacuated. Now we know the person. That person's name was Jacob, who had a red and blue face paint on him. I mean, he said some explicit things I can't even say on YouTube because I don't want to get demonetized. But there's still more to that. We know that Trump issued the attack. That's what we know so far. We now know that Trump was responsible for this. He should be held accountable. And there's probably more concerns. And now Trump's refusing to attend Biden's inauguration. Here again is the very latest from CBS News.
And Trump is expected to break long-standing tradition and not participate in Wednesday's inauguration. The first of several events for President-elect Biden kick off tonight. Nicole Killian has more from the White House.
President Trump remained behind closed doors Saturday, but there was no shortage of activity at the White House. His lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, was spotted entering the complex, while staffers carted out boxes of their belongings. With 4 days left in his term, CBS News has learned President Trump is contemplating a final send-off full of pomp and circumstance on the morning of the inauguration.
I, Donald John Trump.
Mr. Trump will not attend the inauguration, unlike Vice President Mike Pence, who finally phoned to congratulate his successor, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, late this week. 4 separate House committees launched a joint review of the Capitol insurrection as harrowing new details emerged about how close a mob got to the vice president and his family. At one point, rioters were less than 100 feet from where the Pences were hiding before the Secret Service evacuated them to safety. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar cited the siege in his resignation letter and took a parting shot at the president, quote, "Unfortunately, the actions and rhetoric following the election, especially during this past week, threaten to tarnish these and other historic legacies of this administration."
Donald Trump remains a threat to our democracy and will be held accountable.
As the Senate prepares for an impeachment trial, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi declined to give a timetable for when the article could be handed over.
So urgent was the matter. They're now working on taking this to trial.
Tonight, inaugural festivities are officially underway for President-elect Joe Biden, with more events over the next 5 days. CBS News has also learned that Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will be sworn in by Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor on January 20th. Adriana?
Nicole Killian, thanks.
And there's more security ahead for this. I mean, this video, this is how I was going on about it. I could just give you a whole video about this. I could just spend the next half hour doing this, but then it wouldn't be a great video. It'd just be out of my hands. When we return, what Nora Ardell's reflections on America's resolve, and what she thinks about America's resolve when we come back. Look, the Washington riots are just the riot that happened in Washington this month is just out of hands because of what happened. But we're all coming together on this as soon as Joe Biden becomes president just as soon as Joe Biden becomes president next week. But again, we don't know when the trial date's going to be set. Is it going to be before? Is it going to be after? No one knows. But as Nowhere Donald tells us, we're all coming together.
Today, young men and women of the National Guard slept with their rifles in the same place where Union troops were quartered during the Civil War. A difficult time then and now. Lincoln said, "I have faith in the people." Those words still true today. Faith in the people that protect this building and the people who thanked them for it. The people who care for it and the congressmen who helped. The people who lost their lives defending the Constitution and the people who have a hole in their heart because of the loss. And on a day where history was made, a reminder, democracy is imperfect, but our government remains of the people, by the people, and for the people. And the people tonight have overwhelmed the National Guard with offers of donations, but they can't accept them and assure the public they are being fed regularly and being housed well. They say thank you.
And I thank Nowhere Donald for this report. I mean, it's just inspiring. I mean, democracy, they defended the Constitution, but the biggest thing they could defend is their freedom of speech. Jeez Louise, I talked about this topic a couple years ago. And I told you this. Free speech doesn't mean we could say anything. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. People could be trampling you. You'd be liable. And what people call fighting words are illegal. If you tell rioters, beat that guy up, and they do, you're in trouble. I could just give a whole topic on free speech, but I just want to give you a portion of that. Alright, moving on now. Selling lemonade. It's been a couple of years ago, Governor Greg Abbott signed a law that would not allow police officers to arrest kids because they're selling lemonade. Selling Girl Scout cookies. Last night in the Bluff, I saw one person who was selling Girl Scout cookies. I looked over there to see what's going on. I'm like, okay, she's selling Girl Scout cookies. So my question, I asked myself, do I want to report this? I'm like, no, I've seen it before. I just said, you know what, I'm going to leave it alone. Walked away, did nothing about it. Did not file a complaint, did not go to the police, none of it. And even if I did, report to the police, it'd be hell all over again. And I do mean hell. I'll be back in a moment. Watch this.
Truancy is 7 or more unexcused days from school.
My mom's car broke down. It's still in the shop. She didn't take me to school.
Truancy can be a serious problem.
I'm not going to school. I'm tired of those kids picking on me.
Truancy can lead to problems in school.
I'm tired of the kids making fun of me.
Social isolation.
I'm not going to go to school today.
Delinquent activities. Or worse.
Ever since my dad died, Mom has been having a hard time making ends meet.
And I have to work just to support my family. But I know school's important, so I'm gonna get help.
You can get help too. Talk to a school official about your problems.
They're here to help. When you miss school, you miss out.
have you spoken with your mom about this bullying problem?
No, I haven't talked to her about it. She doesn't know.
Okay. Do you think that she would be upset if you told her, or are you just not comfortable talking to her about bullying, or?
Well, now that I know I can get help, I think that I'll talk to her and see if she can talk to the principal.
Okay. So my plan is to help you to get back in school so that you won't be truant and that you can get your education. So I'll give your mom a call, we'll talk with her, and we'll make a plan to go to school.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
These are just some of the ads that people use for truancy. Now I know you guys can be probably saying, "Oh, we done want truth videos. Let's get out of here. Shut down the video." Yes, I'm still on the truancy case because of the COVID-19 and because of the biggest reason ever. People have to work. These teenagers, they're working at Burger King, Long John Silver's, Whataburger, McDonald's, Sonic. They're trying to help parents pay they're trying to help mom and dad pay the bills. And in this case, in cases like this, there ain't gonna be an blues in the house. And as you heard these excuses right here, that mom's car broke down, the kids picking on people, the bullying, it's a big issue. You can't solve problems by skipping school a lot. I mean, I've told you guys a lot of times on the show, you cannot solve problems. I mean, this is the first time I told you guys this. Skipping school does not solve problems. It causes a lot of things. Higher odds of living in poverty, odds of getting full-time jobs, crimes. Your decrease in school attendance and your decreased school attendance, raising the truancy rates and raising juvenile delinquencies. As I said before, in some states, you could be fined. You get your life suspended or juvenile hall for parents in jail. That's why these truancy sweeps happen every month. I could show you. Actually, you know what? As a matter of fact, no, screw it. I could show you about these parents doing. I could show you about these parents doing their sweeps. I mean, the police doing the sweeps at parents' homes because their kid's not in school. But that's another topic for another day. Now I'm starting a new Give Me Back Friday because I was too busy planning for work. I mean, I still have to support my family and stuff. I mean, even though I support my family, I graduated from school. I don't skip work. I don't skip class to go to work. I work until after I graduate. It's as simple as that. You don't work while you're in school. It's a problem. And if you start telling your principal that, the best solution you can say is tell your boss to cut you out so you can be in school and just work after school. That's a big issue. That can definitely solve a lot of problems here. And it can. They're here to help you. They're not here to attack you, fight you, make you look bad. That goes for me too. I'm not trying to make you look bad. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. And I'm here to help your parents. So I think for those of you out there in Wasatch County, if you were wise, you'd open that mind just a crack, to say, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about, and I'm going to give him a chance and listen. But someday, when you're truant and you're out there in truancy court, you will be begging and wishing for my help. And when your children out there need help, they're going to do the same thing that you're doing. And I'll be long gone. I'll be going bye-bye. And you won't ever see me again. I'll be long gone. I'll move on to something else. So, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help your parents. Make the wisest decision ever and take the help. The cases are going up and nothing is being done. That's all for this decision. Give me a break Saturday night. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Monday night. I'll see you again for Give Me a Break Monday. Have a good night, everyone. Take care of yourself and each other. Good night.